So we were discussing what that nitrogen family. In that we have discussed about what that periodic trends and occurrence of the group members. Now we'll be discussing what those chemical properties of nitrogen family members. In chemical properties, the very first thing which we are going to discuss is what that oxidation state and trends in reactivity. Right? So in chemical properties, the very first thing which we are going to discuss is what? It is oxidation state and trends in chemical reactivity. Okay. So in that, the very first thing is what? So the common oxidation state exhibited by these group members. These are what? -3, +3 and +5. Right? The most common oxidation state shown by these group elements. They are what? They are -3, +3 and +5. Right? Now about a -3 oxidation states. What we say, the stability of -3 oxidation states, it decreases down the group. Right? What we are saying, the most common oxidation states shown by these group elements. These are what? -3, +3 and +5. Now we are discussing these oxidation states one by one with reference to these group members. So very first we are discussing what that -3 oxidation state. Right? So the -3 oxidation state, its stability, it decreases down the group. Why it decreases? So we say with the increasing atomic number, or as we are moving down the group, electronegative character, it decreases, or the electropositive character, it increases. Right? In these group elements, what we are saying, as we are moving down the group, we have seen that in what? The physical properties. As we are moving down the group, what it increases, that electropositive character, it increases. And hence, the tendency to exist in what? That positive oxidation state, that increases. While the tendency to exist in negative oxidation state, it decreases. Fine. So what we are saying about -3 oxidation state, what it happens? So as we are moving down the group, the tendency to show -3 oxidation state, it decreases. Fine. Bismuth, it hardly exists in what? That -3 oxidation state. Okay. Bismuth, it exists in -3 oxidation state rarely. Fine. The reason for that we have studied already, because as we are moving down the group, what it is happening, metallic character or the electropositive character, it increases. Clear? Now stability of +5 oxidation state. Right? The second point is what? It is stability of the +5 oxidation state. So what we say, as we move down in the p block, as we move down in a group in p block elements, what was the effect? There was observation of inert pair effect. +5 is what? That is the highest oxidation state shown by these group elements. Fine. So the +5 oxidation state, its stability, it decreases down the group. As we are moving down in a group, the stability of +5 oxidation state, it is what? It is decreasing. Okay. The stability of +5 oxidation state, it decreases down the group, and this is because of what? So we say it is due to that inert pair effect. Clear? What we say, as we are moving down in a group, what it happens? The stability of +5 oxidation state, it is decreasing, and this is due to what? So we say this is due to that inert pair effect. Fine. So bismuth, it rarely shows what? That +5 oxidation state. The only stable compound of bismuth in +5 oxidation state, it is what? That BiS5. And this is because of what? So we say it is fluorine is smaller in size, it is most electronegative, and it is very strong oxidizing in nature. So because of its strong oxidizing behavior, it is making existence of this compound possible in +5 oxidation state. Fine. So this is what? The well characterized +5 oxidation state compound of bismuth is what? It is BiS5. Is it clear? Then stability of +3 oxidation state. So what we are saying, due to inert pair effect, the stability of +5 oxidation state, it was decreasing down the group. Fine. So which oxidation state will be more prevalent as we are moving down the group? So we say it is going to be +3, because the electronic configuration of the group members was what? It is NH2 NP3. Fine. So as the tendency to show +5 oxidation state, it is decreasing. That means what? Tendency to exist in +3 oxidation state, it is increasing. So this again is what? A consequence of inert pair effect only. Fine. So the stability of +3 oxidation state, it increases down the group. And that again is a consequence of what? So we say it is a consequence of that inert pair effect. Is it clear? So the +3 oxidation state compounds of this one, these are what? These are the most stable among the +3 compounds of all these group elements. Clear? Now what we say, apart from this, these common oxidation states of -3, +3 and +5, nitrogen, it also shows what? That oxidation states of +1, +2 and +4 in its oxides. Fine. Nitrogen, it exhibits what? Maximum number of oxidation states among the group members. So the common oxidation states exhibited by these group members, they were what? -3, +3 and +5. So about nitrogen, what we are saying, apart from these common oxidation states, nitrogen, it also shows what? Oxidation states of +1, +2 and +4. And these oxidation states, nitrogen is showing in what? It is showing these oxidation states in its oxides. Fine. Now, most of the other members, they are what? They are pentavalent. They are pentavalent as they are containing vacant d orbitals in them. Fine. Nitrogen, though it can show what? That +5 oxidation state, but nitrogen, it cannot form pentahalides. Fine. Nitrogen, it does not form pentahalides. And reason for that is what? So we say in pentahalide, nitrogen has to show what? That pentavalency. And to show pentavalency, it should contain 5 unpaired electrons. But the maximum covalency of nitrogen is what? It is 4. So it cannot form a pentavalent compound. Fine. So it is due to unavailability or non-availability of d orbitals. Nitrogen cannot form what? That pentahalide. Clear? Now, because of the unavailability or non-availability of d orbitals in nitrogen, nitrogen does not form what? That pentahalides. Clear? Now next is what? So we say phosphorus, it also exhibits what? That +1 and +4 oxidation states apart from these regular ones, that is -3, +3 and +5. Phosphorus, it also exhibits +1 and +4 oxidation states, and that in what? That is in oxo acids. Though oxides of phosphorus, they also exist in what? That +4 oxidation state. But in NCERT, it is mentioned that phosphorus, it exhibits what? +1 and +4 oxidation states in oxo acids. Clear? Then next point is what? So we say the compounds of nitrogen, in which nitrogen is showing what? That +1 to +4 oxidation state. On these compounds, they tend to disproportionate. Fine. The compounds of nitrogen in which nitrogen is in which oxidation state? That is +1 to +4. All these compounds, they have tendency to undergo disproportionation. Fine. The compounds of nitrogen from which to which oxidation state? So we say it is +1 to +4. All these compounds, they have tendency to undergo disproportionation. Clear? Example of that is what? So we say if HNO2, that is kept in an aqueous solution, so on standing, it automatically undergoes disproportionation to form what? That HNO3 and NO. Here nitrogen is in oxidation state of +3, while here it is in what? That +5, and here it is in what? That +2 oxidation state. Fine. So this HNO2, it is undergoing disproportionation to HNO2. This is undergoing disproportionation to form what? That HNO3 and NO. And because of this property of HNO2, it functions both as an oxidizing agent as well as a reducing agent. Clear? HNO2, as it is undergoing disproportionation, so it is undergoing oxidation as well as reduction, and hence it can function both as what? As an oxidizing agent as well as a reducing agent. Fine. A solution of HNO2 is also containing what? That NO2 negative ions, and NO2 negative ions, they can function as what? Ligands, and ligands, they form what? They form complexes. So HNO2 can function as an oxidizing agent and a reducing agent, and as well as what? A complexing agent. Fine. HNO2, it can function as oxidizing agent, reducing agent, and as what? A complexing agent. Clear? Then for phosphorus, what we say, the compounds of phosphorus in oxidation states of +1 to +4, they also undergo disproportionation both in acidic as well as in the basic medium. And when they are undergoing disproportionation, the common oxidation states in which they are entering, they are what they are, +5 and -3. So all the compounds of phosphorus which are in which phosphorus is in what? It is in +1 to +4 oxidation state. They also undergo disproportionation both in acid as well as in the basic medium. Fine. And in acidic and basic medium, when they are undergoing disproportionation, so when they are undergoing oxidation, they are going into what? That +5 oxidation state. And when they are going into, and when they are reduced, they are going into what? That -3 oxidation state. Fine. So what we are saying, for the compounds of phosphorus in which its oxidation state is +1 to +4, all these compounds, they undergo disproportionation to enter into what? That +5 and -3 oxidation state. Fine. And these disproportionation reactions, they are observed both in acidic as well as in alkaline medium. Clear? Now next point is what? So we say, with respect to disproportionation, the +3 oxidation states of arsenic, antimony and bismuth, they are becoming what? More and more stable. So the tendency to undergo disproportionation of +3 oxidation state, it decreases down the group. Bismuth, it is what? It is most stable in +3 oxidation state, and hence it is difficult for bismuth +3 to enter into what? That bismuth +5, and hence its tendency to undergo disproportionation is the least among these group members. So what we are saying, the concluding statement is what? So we say, the oxidation state of +3, that becomes what? It becomes increasingly more stable as we are moving down the group with respect to what? That disproportionation. Fine. Now what we say, nitrogen, it has maximum covalency of 4. It can utilize what? The 3 unpaired electrons as well as what? That lone pair. So by utilization of lone pair, it may exhibit what? That maximum covalency of 4. It does not contain vacant d orbitals, while the other elements of the same group, they are having what? Vacant d orbitals in them. So by excitation of electron may enter into what? That d orbital. So they may show pentavalency, as well as by utilization of more of d orbitals, they even may show what? A covalency of 6, as in PF6. So it is because of availability of what? Vacant d orbitals. Other elements of the group, they may show what? A maximum covalency of 6. While for nitrogen, the maximum covalency is what? It is 4. And it is what? It cannot show that higher covalencies than 4. It is because of the non-availability of vacant d orbitals in nitrogen. Is it clear? Now this property is over, that is oxidation states and trends in chemical reactivity. This is over. Now the next is what? That anomalous properties of nitrogen. Fine. Anomalous properties. Now next heading in the chemical properties is what it is? Anomalous properties. So in S block and 13th and 14th group of P block, we have studied already that the first member of each group, it shows what? It shows difference in behavior. Fine. So nitrogen will be showing what? Different properties than its group members. Fine. The reason for this different or the anomalous behavior of nitrogen is what? So we say it is smaller in size. Fine. Like every other group. Here also, the first member, it is going to show the anomalous behavior. Second point is what? The anomalous behavior is due to, the very first reason for that is what? So we say it is smaller in size. The first reason. Second is what? It is the most electronegative among the group members. Fine. It is most electronegative, or it is highest electronegative among the group member. Fine. Then third is what? So we say it has the highest ionization energy. Third reason is what? So we say it has highest ionization energy. Fine. And the last reason is what? It does not contain vacant d orbital in its electronic configuration. Fine. Non-availability of vacant d orbitals or non-availability of d orbitals. Is it clear to everyone? What we are saying, the first member of each group, that shows different behavior. Reasons for different behavior, they are what? So we say it is small size, high electronegativity, high ionization energy, and non-availability of d orbitals. Fine. Now on the basis of these reasons, what unique properties nitrogen it shows. Now these will be seen one by one. So the very first one is what? So we say nitrogen is unique in forming what? That p-pi bond. Fine. Nitrogen, it is unique among the group members in what tendency? So we say it form what? It can form p-pi bond, while the other elements of the same group, they do not form what? That p-pi bond. Is it clear? Nitrogen, it forms what? That p-pi bond, while the other members of the same group, they do not form that p-pi bond. Is it okay? Fine. So while nitrogen, it can form p-pi bond, so we say it is smaller in size, and hence this sidewise overlapping of p orbitals, that is effective because of what? That closeness of two nitrogen bond. The nitrogen, it is forming that p-pi bond with other nitrogen or the other smaller sized atoms like carbon and oxygen. Fine. So nitrogen is unique in forming what? That p-pi bond. Fine. It can form p-pi bond with other nitrogen or with other small sized atoms like carbon or oxygen. Fine. The ability of forming this p-pi bond, it is due to what? Its smaller size, and hence what? That bond length is shorter, and hence two nitrogen atoms, these are quite close, and hence it is what it is possible. So we say it is sidewise overlapping of p orbitals, it is possible. Fine. The other group members, they are unable to form p-pi bond. It is because of what? It is because of their larger size. Because of their larger size, their atomic orbitals, these are larger. Fine. And as their atomic orbitals, they are larger, they are more diffused. Fine. So effective overlapping is not possible with other group members. Fine. So nitrogen, it can form p-pi bond with itself or with carbon and oxygen, while the other group members, they are unable to form p-pi bond with the other same atom. And it is because of what? So we say these are larger in size, and because of their larger size, their atomic orbitals, they are large and more diffused, and hence effective overlapping is not possible, and hence they are unable to form what? That p-pi bond. Is it clear to everyone? Fine. Now next is what? So we say because of this unique p-pi bonding ability, nitrogen, it exists in what? That diatomic form, N2. It is what? 1 sigma bond and 2 pi bonds. So it is because of its unique ability, nitrogen is existing in what? That N2 form, while the other elements, they are what? They are polyatomic, in which single bonds, they are present between element and element. Fine. So nitrogen, it is existing in diatomic form, while the other elements, they are existing in what? That polyatomic form by forming single bonds, because they cannot form pi bond with the same other atom. Phosphorus cannot form a pi bond with other phosphorus. Same is with arsenic and antimony. Fine. Bismuth in elemental state, what it shows? It shows metallic bonding. In bismuth, metallic bonding is present in elemental state. Clear? Now next is what? So we say the single bond between nitrogen and nitrogen, it is weaker than phosphorus. And while we'll be studying what? That oxygen family, there we will be finding what? That oxygen single bond, that also will be oxygen single bond, that also will be what? So we say that also will be weaker than sulfur single bond. Fine. Reason for that is what? So we say the single bond between nitrogen and nitrogen, or it is between oxygen and oxygen, that is going to be smaller. If the bond is small, that means what? The two bonded atoms, these are quite close to each other. Because of their closeness, what it will happen? These atoms, nitrogen or oxygen, they are containing what? One lone pair, and here it is what? Each atom is containing two lone pairs. Fine. So these atoms, because of the smaller bond, these are quite close, and because of their closeness, the lone pairs, they are very close to each other. When these lone pairs, they are very close, what it happens? There will be strong repulsions between these lone pairs, and because of these strong repulsions, this bond, it becomes weaker. Is it clear? So what we are saying, the single bond between nitrogen and nitrogen, or the single bond between oxygen and oxygen, it is unexpectedly weaker in comparison to what? So we say nitrogen single bond is weaker than phosphorus single bond. or oxygen-oxygen single bond, it is weaker than sulfur-sulfur single bond. The reason for that we have seen already. So what we are saying, the bond, the single bond between nitrogen and nitrogen, or it is between oxygen and oxygen, it is smaller. And because of its smallness, what it is happening, so we are saying the two atoms, these are quite close, and both the atoms, they are lone pair containing. So these lone pairs, they also get close to each other, and because of their closeness, there are strong repulsions between the two atoms, and because of these repulsions, the single bond between nitrogen-nitrogen or oxygen-oxygen, it is weaker than what it is, phosphorus-phosphorus or sulfur-sulfur single bond respectively. Is it clear? So this is important from question point of view. Okay. So what we will say, catenation tendency of nitrogen and oxygen, it is going to be lesser than phosphorus and sulfur. Catenation tendency of nitrogen, it is going to be lesser than that of phosphorus, while the catenation tendency of oxygen, it is going to be lesser than that of sulfur. And reason for that we have studied here. Is it okay? Now, next is what? So we say phosphorus, it can form what, that d-pi-p-pi bond. It was unable to form p-pi-p-pi, but it is capable of forming what, that d-pi-p-pi bond. It can form that d-pi-p-pi bond with what? Smaller sized atoms like oxygen, or it is carbon. So here it is in this R3p double bond, the pi bond present between phosphorus and oxygen. It is what, that d-pi-p-pi bond. Clear? And this R3p double bond CH2, this is what, that Wittig reagent, which we have studied in alkene. This is what, that phosphorine or Wittig reagent. Here the pi bond present between phosphorus and carbon. This again is what, that d-pi-p-pi. Is it clear? This is what, that d-pi-p-pi bond. So phosphorus, it can form pi bond with what? The small sized atoms like oxygen and carbon, but this pi bond is what it is, d-pi-p-pi, because here the orbital which is utilized in pi bonding, it is d orbital of phosphorus, and oxygen and carbon, they are participating with what, that p orbital, and hence the pi bond formed is what, that d-pi-p-pi. Is it clear? Then what we say, phosphorus and arsenic, they also can form what? They also can form d-pi-d-pi bonds in their complexes with the transition metals. Phosphorus, arsenic, or what we say, the other members of the group, when they are forming complexes, their compounds. These are what? This is ligand of phosphorus and this is ligand of arsenic. So when these ligands, they are forming complexes with transition metals, in those complexes, there is existence of what, that d-pi-d-pi bond also. So nitrogen, it cannot form d-pi-d-pi, fine. But nitrogen, but phosphorus, arsenic, they can form what, that d-pi-d-pi bond in their complexes with transition metals, fine. So I hope this must have been clear to all of you. Next properties will be covering in the next section.